Good afternoon, welcome to Vanik-Ias. We will discuss current affairs of 17th March. First is related to international relation, that is related to phosphorus bombs, right. So, what happened? Ukrainian police accused Russian forces of launching phosphorus bomb attacks in the Luhansk and Donetsk regions of eastern Ukraine, collectively known as Donbas region, that is called Donbas region. International law prohibits the use of white phosphorus cells in heavily populated civilian areas, allowed them in open spaces to be used to cover up for troops, right. So, basically international there is a ban regarding chemical weapons, right. Phosphorus bombs comes under the nomenclature of chemical weapons. As that is banned, we will see various organizations that ban chemical weapons, and it is regarded as chemical weapon, biological weapon. These are very dreaded weapons, right. The most dreaded is nuclear weapon, then biological weapon and chemical weapon. This is also banned, completely banned by international various conventions and bodies like Australia group. Still, as it has there is accusation that Russian forces are launching phosphorus bombs, right. Okay. What is phosphorus bomb? Allotropes. White phosphorus munitions are weapons that use of the common allotropes of chemical element phosphorus. White phosphorus, this is the allotropes of phosphorus and which is a chemical weapon. Then pyrophoric, these are various types important for prelims, right. Various types of phosphorus bomb, allotropes and pyrophoric. White phosphorus is pyrophoric. It is ignited by contact with air. So, when pyrophoric will come in contact, see these names, although they are very technical, they are important because they are asked by UPSC prelims many times. Pyrophoric, it means it gets ignited when comes in contact with air. Burns fiercely and can ignite cloth, fuel, ammunition and other combustibles. Apart from this, it is used in smoke, illumination, burning elements and tracer ammunition. This is called as pyrophoric. It is white phosphorus. White phosphorus is pyrophoric, is source of pyrophoric. So, that is one type of phosphorus bomb. Next, chemical reaction. In addition to offensive capabilities, white phosphorus is highly efficient smoke producing agent. White phosphorus, right. In science and technology, they may ask what are the properties of white phosphorus. So, one, it is a dreaded weapon. Next, it can be ignited with contact of air, or that is pyrophoric. Third, it is a smoke producing agent, right. So, all the options are right. Reacting with air and produce immediate blanket of phosphorus pentoxide vapor. It creates immediate blanket for phosphorus pentoxide vector effects. In addition to direct injuries, it creates direct injuries caused by fragments of their casings. White phosphorus munitions can cause injuries in too many ways. First is burn injuries and vapor inhalation. Both are dangerous, right. So, it creates vapors and also it burns areas. So, this is white phosphorus, which is a chemical weapon, and that is alleged that Russian forces are applying against Ukraine. Okay. So, what is a chemical next? What are chemical weapons? A chemical weapon is a chemical used for intentional death or harm others by toxic properties of a chemical, right. Munitions, devices and other equipment specifically designed to weaponize toxic chemicals fall under the definition of chemical weapons. Okay. Your tear gas is also a chemical weapons, but that is used because it is not too much harmful, right. To control the law and order situation, many state governments use tear gas, right. Okay. What is the international law regarding use of chemical weapons? Chemical weapon is multilateral treaty, is a multilateral chemical weapon convention, CWC. We have already discussed CWC in last classes, I think. This is a multilateral treaty banning chemical weapons, right, and requiring the destruction within stipulated time. So, CWC mandated that every country who have signed CWC, they will destroy the existing nuclear weapons and within a stipulated time, within a particular time period. So far as disarmament with respect to nuclear weapon is concerned, it is with respect to chemical weapon is concerned, it is almost successful, but not like nuclear weapon. In so far as nuclear weapon is concerned, disarmament is not successful. Disarmament means reducing the existing capacity of these deadly weapons. That is disarmament. So the negotiation for chemical weapon convention began in 1980 at the United Nations State Conference on Disarmament. United Nations State Conference on Disarmament. Remember, disarmament is a long question. They may ask it anytime it related to it. The convention was drafted in 1992, September 1992, and opened for signature 1993. It becomes effective from 1997. Remember, CWC convention is effective from 1997. Very important. Convention, chemical weapons convention, CWC, it become effective from 1997, although it is started in 1980. It makes mandatory to destroy old and abandoned chemical weapons. Mandatory to destroy old and abandoned chemical weapons. Members should also declare that riot control agents, sometimes referred as tear gas in possession of them, right? Members, okay, in case of tear gas, it is most of the states they declare that they have tear gas, but except tear gas, all other chemical weapons need to be destroyed and abandoned. India signed the treaty in January 1993. The Chemical Weapon Convention 2000 was passed. Chemical Weapon Convention Act 2000. The Chemical Weapon Convention Act 2000. Remember, in 2000, Chemical Weapon Convention Act came to implement Chemical Weapons Convention. What convention does? The development, production, acquisition, stockpiling and retention of chemical weapons, transferring of chemical weapons, using chemical weapons, assisting other states to indulge activities that are prohibited by the Chemical Weapons Convention. Next, using riot control devices as warfare methods. Apart from Chemical Weapon Convention, Australia Group seeks to check the proliferation of chemical weapon and biological weapon. Australia Group, remember, Australia Group also works to control the chemical weapon and biological weapon. So here the convention, what the convention prohibits? Production, acquisition, stockpiling, retention, right? Using of chemical weapons or helping other state to get chemical weapons, right? And using these as riot control devices. All the things are prohibited by Chemical Weapons Convention. In India it is applied by, ratified, that is by Chemical Weapon Convention Act 2000, and it is Chemical Weapons Convention. It becomes effective from 1997. Okay, next. What is Australia Group? We have already said that it is working to control biological and chemical weapons. Australia Group is an informal forum of countries. Remember, it is not under United Nations, right? It's informal forum of countries which through the harmonization of export controls seeks to ensure that exports do not contribute to the development of chemical biological weapon. Exports do not contribute to the development of chemical or biological weapons. Okay. You must ensure that your export do not contribute to development of chemical or biological weapons. And the formation of Australia Group in 1985, remember, it is formed in 1985. You must remember the date as well. It is very important international organization. That's why you must remember. Was prompted by Iraq's use of chemical weapons during the Iraq-Iran war. Iraq's use of chemical weapons during the Iraq-Iran war. That's why Australia Group created, like your NPT is created based on India's development of nuclear weapon. Right, so Australia Group created in 1985 based on Iraq-Iran war. Coordination of national export control measures assists Australia Group members to fulfill obligations under Chemical Weapons Convention and Biological and Toxin Weapons Convention. These two conventions. So coordination of national export control. These measures with Australia Group that need two organizations. One is national export control measures, right, and Australia Group. Both fulfill the obligations under CWC, and that is Chemical Weapon Convention, and Biological and Toxin Weapons Convention. These two conventions that are fulfilled by Australia Group. It has 43 members. Remember, 43 members. Also, it is started in 1985. and Australia group has 43 members including European Union. The members work on a consensus basis. Annual meeting is held in Paris, France. Annual meeting of Australia group held in Paris and France. Paris, that is in France. And India joined as 43rd participant in Australia group in 2018. In 2018, India joined as 43rd participant in Australia group. The Australia group decided to admit India's groups through a consensus decision. So, Australia group decided to admit India through consensus. So, what is Australia group? Started in 1985, and it advocates against biological and chemical weapons. India is a member of 43rd member of Australia group. It came into effective in 1985, right? And another thing is that to implement CWC, that is Chemical Weapon Convention, we brought the Chemical Weapons Act in 2000, right? So, it's an annual, it is not a, it is Australia group is not a part of United Nations. It's in informal forum of countries, right? And the meet at Paris in France. Then next topic is river rejuvenation and detailed project report. River rejuvenation detailed project report. What is river rejuvenation? Why it is essential, right? Now we are seeing that there is depletion of water, level of water in various rivers, right? Why? Because of various climate change regions or deforestation, and so that results into the degradation of various environmental biodiversity, the degradation of biodiversities and various marine species and also terrestrial species. So, river rejuvenation is very important. Why it is important? To recharge the groundwater, right? To supply huge amount of for use of human being, and also environmental purposes. So, in all the sectors, government is starting to rejuvenate around 13 major rivers, right? Around 13 major rivers to be rejuvenated according to by Ministry of Environment and Forest Government of India. And climate change, it has released a 19,000 crore detailed project. It is going to spend 19,000 crore on rejuvenation, right? 13 rivers are, for the 13 rivers that are need to be rejuvenated, what is Jhalam, Chenab, Ravi, Vyas, Satluj, Yamuna, Brahmaputra, Narmada, Godavari, Mahanadi, Krishna, Kaveri and Luni. These are the 13 rivers that where 19,000 crore will be spent to rejuvenate them. What is the idea behind deep weirs? It is modeled on the lines of work done as a part of the National Mission of Clean Ganga. National Mission for Clean Ganga for the river, and acknowledging that growing water crisis is an account of degradation of the ecosystem, right? So, it is in the line of the work under National Mission of Clean Ganga, and that will address the degradation of river ecosystem. The project adopted multi-scale, multi-stakeholder, multidisciplinary and a holistic approach so as to accomplish broad objectives of arrival dhara, aviral dhara, uninterrupted flow, and nirmal dhara, clean water and ecological rejuvenation. So, this river rejuvenation project, it has a budget of 19,000 crore. It is it will work on 13 rivers of India, right? They are major rivers, and then it is in the line of National Mission of Clean Ganga that will ensure aviral dhara and nirmal dhara, and that will it will work with participation of all the stakeholders, private sector, community stakeholders, everybody will work to improve the rivers. Okay. Next, how much area landscape is expected to rejuvenated? The 13 rivers collectively cover a total basin of area that is around 18,90,110 square kilometers, that represent 57% of total geographical area of the country, 57.45% total geographical area of the country. So, this much area, it has a total basin, right? The length of the 13 rivers, including 202 tributaries within delineated riverscapes, 13 rivers, 202 tributaries, riverscapes, and 40,000 kilometers. The Brahmaputra riverscape incorporate highest number of tributaries around 30 and 1,50,450 square kilometer area respectively. So, this much area will be affected, and the water level in this area will be rejuvenated. The documents propose many kinds of afforestation for the rivers. They include timber species. What to do? Afforestation near the bank of the rivers, right? Afforestation, they will rejuvenate the, so that will include timber species, medicinal plants, grasses, shrubs and fuel, fodder and fruit trees. These are the trees that will be planted near the rivers to rejuvenate the water in the rivers, because during the flood time they will absorb water, and they, if there are forests near the river, they always recharge the river, right? During the extra water they absorb the water, and during the water scarcity they supply the water. Okay. Next, what are the interventions planned? The DPRs recognize the merit of adopting holistic riverscape approach for forestry interventions in the three types of landscapes, that is natural, agriculture and urban. In all type of landscapes, river rejuvenation project will work within the vast expanse of riverscape beside conservation interventions including soil moisture conservation, riverine, riparian, wildlife management and wetland management. So, it will have a holistic step will be taken, that will management the wetlands, that will management wildlife management, that will ensure riverine management, that will also soil and moisture conservation. So, all these things are recognized by the DPRs. These are done to supporting activities such as policy level intervention, strategic and adaptive research, capacity development, awareness creation, project management and participatory monitoring and evacuation. So, these DPRs are recognized. Why these DPRs are done? Detailed project reports that basically addresses the holistic environmental situation, right, and that are very important for policy making or capacity building or training or implementing various schemes. So, the detailed project report are very essential. What are the potential benefits of the proposed intervention? Increase in forest cover. Potential benefits: increase in forest cover. It is expected to increase the cumulative forest cover of around 7,417 square kilometer across 13 rivers. So, that will increase the forest cover. This river rejuvenation project will increase the forest cover. Another thing is that help in sequestration of carbon dioxide. If you increase the forest cover, that is around 7,400 square kilometer, obviously that will be a huge carbon sink, and that will reduce the present carbon dioxide present in the atmosphere. So, that will help in so far as sustainable environment is concerned, that will reduce the greenhouse gases, that will help in reduce the effect of climate change. Then, and it is equivalent to equivalent in 10 years old plantations, while the value of estimated carbon dioxide in 20 years old plantation would be, so 74 million tons of carbon dioxide will be absorbed in 20 years. Help in groundwater recharge. They would help recharge groundwater, reduce the sedimentation, generate around 450 crore from non-timber and other forest produce, right. They would recharge the groundwater. So, forest produce of around 450 crore will be generated. Employment generation, there will be also employment generation. They are also expected to make a significant contribution towards the employment generation by nearly 344 million man days of work. 344 million days of work. So, that is, and also achieving international commitments that we have promised in the Glasgow summit, that is in the climate deals that we have promised to achieve net zero emission by 2070, right, reducing our carbon emissions by half within 2030, right. So, these are the potential benefits. First is increasing forest cover, second is sequestration of carbon dioxide, it will work as a huge carbon sink, then groundwater recharge, then employment generation and achieving the international targets regarding renewable energy, that thereby reducing the effects of climate change. Then these efforts would help India to meet its international climate commitments, creating an additional carbon sink of 2.5 or 3 billion tons, additional carbon sink of 2.5 to 3 billion tons of carbon dioxide, equivalent thorough additional forest and recover by 2030. So these are the promise we have made in Glasgow summit, right? So tree cover by 2030, we will increase our additional forest cover by 2030 under Paris Agreement. So restore 26 million hectares of degraded lands. So it will address all the problem of land degradation. Then it will halt biodiversity loss by 2030 under Convention of Biological Diversity. CBD, it is binding, right? So sustainable development goals, it will help us to achieve sustainable development goals. At the COP26 meeting, India promised to reduce the projected carbon emission by 1 billion tons by 2030. 1 billion tons by 2030, India has promised to reduce the carbon dioxide, and it is one of the steps. And to meet 50% of energy requirements with renewable energy by 2030, 50% of energy required from renewable energy, which is a big aim, and also 1 billion tons of carbon also observing 1 billion tons of carbon emission. So these are very ambitious targets, and that it is one of the steps to achieve them. Enhance non-fossil energy capacity to 500 gigawatt, non-fossil energy to 500 gigawatt by 2030. Reduce the carbon intensity of its economy by 45%. Reduce the carbon intensity of its economy 45% by 2030. Achieve net zero emissions by 2070. This was India's promise in the Glasgow summit. One is first is said, reducing the carbon emission by 1 billion tons and meeting 50% of energy requirements from renewable energy by 2030, enhancing forest non-fossil energy capacity to 500 gigawatt by 2030, reducing the carbon intensity of its economy by 45%, achieving net zero emission by 2070. This is the target India has made, and this river rejuvenation will help. Under the Bonn challenge, India has also pledged in 2015 to restore 5 million hectares of degraded land by 2070. So India also pledged to restore 5 million hectares of degraded land in the Bonn challenge. So these are very comprehensive and ambitious targets to reduce the land degradation and also to reduce the carbon dioxide at present in the atmosphere. Okay, what are the challenges? What are the challenges for these river rejuvenations? First is growing water crisis on the account of depleting fresh water resources. Growing water crisis, these are challenges. That due to sinking and degradation of river ecosystems is a major impediment in achieving the international goals. Right, our consumption is increasing. Right, so fresh water level is decreasing because our consumption is getting increased because of developed sanitation and urbanization. Achieving national goals pertaining to environment conservation, climate change and sustainable development. Next, the success of the project hinges on several factors including the correct method of plantation and changes in the climate. So whether how this is usually implemented, we have a target to implement 19,000 crore, but if that implementation is perfect, properly we are doing it, then we will get the result, right? Otherwise not. Then to avoid risk of plantation and changes in climate, forest department should ensure that quality of planting stock that should be ensured, right? You cannot, that will ensure the size, that will ensure the plantation, right? That is the responsibility of forest department. And that conservation of soil and moisture should be done before the plantation to further mitigate the risk, right? So to reduce the risk, and we must achieve the target by reaching the 13 major rivers with huge amount of plantation. Right, there are various risks. Right, first is that we have to, the forest department should keep the plants ready. Right, that should be bigger in size. Otherwise, that will not be they will not exist and the ultimate aim will not be fulfilled. This is about your river rejuvenation. We will see next. Next topic is fast Gati Shakti cargo terminal. Fast Gati Shakti cargo terminal. Indian Railway Fast Gati Shakti cargo terminal commissioned in Asanol division. Remember, in Asanol division they may ask in objective question Asanol division. In Asanol division, Fast Gati Shakti cargo terminal is commissioned by the Prime Minister. Gati Shakti. This is the first such Gati Shakti commission. This is the first such Gati Shakti cargo terminal (GCT) commissioned in Indian Railways since the publication of Gati Shakti cargo terminal policy in December 2021. It is expected to enhance Indian Railways earning. The commissioning of this terminal and more terminals will have a very positive impact in the economy. So, economically this is very beneficial, that is Gati Shakti cargo terminal. What is this PM Gati Shakti scheme? In 2021 it is launched. In 2021 the government launched ambitious Gati Shakti scheme or National Master Plan for Multimodal Connectivity Plan. For National Plan for Multimodal Connectivity. Very important, this is National Master Plan for Multimodal Connectivity with the aim for coordinated planning and execution of infrastructure projects, bringing down logistic costs. Because logistic problems cost around 13% of GDP. So, we have to cooperate among different government organizations and private sectors, and we need to that coordination will be developed by Gati Shakti scheme between various departments of the government, that will lead to speedy implementation of the projects and clearance of projects as well. Okay, what is the aim? Okay, what is the aim of PM Gati Shakti scheme? To ensure integrated planning and implementation of infrastructure projects. Integrated planning and implementation of infrastructure projects. How it will happen? By coordination of different government organizations and private sectors and the stakeholders. In the next 4 years, with focus on expediting the works on the ground, saving the cost and creating jobs. We have to save the cost. How to save the cost? By early implementation. We have to make a particular project at the due time, right? At present there are various projects which are delayed by years and years, that lead to almost the cost increases to almost double. That is the issue. Gati Shakti scheme will subsume around the 110 lakh crore of national infrastructure pipeline that are launched in 2019. Besides cutting logistic costs, the scheme will also aim at increasing cargo handling capacity, reducing the turnaround time at ports to boost the trade. So, it is also cutting the logistic cost, the transportation cost, that will be reduced, that will help the business. They also aims to have 11 industrial corridor. Gati Shakti scheme will have 11 industrial corridor and 2 defense corridor. Remember, this is the most important. 11 industrial corridor. What does it mean? Industrial corridor, in a particular area, huge number of industries or various industries to be established. That is especially to promote export and huge productivity. Why? Suppose we cannot establish industries in every area of a state. We have, because there is a issue of communication, because there is issue of transportation. So, if you are developing industrial corridor in a particular area, we can invest huge amount of money for transportation, right? Because simultaneously we cannot develop transportation system or good transportation system throughout the state. So, in a particular area, if you are establishing industrial corridor, that will be helpful. And by how that will be helpful? By using various transportation and various government clearance, and by creating land bank, all these things. It will be beneficial for investment, because in so far as investment is concerned, the major problem is the acquisition of land, and another thing is that acquisition of land and giving clearances and communication, right. So, those areas where basically agriculture is not so much prevalent, or there is less agricultural land, in those areas, and the terrain is should be, that should be plain, so that it will be easy for the construction of industries. And another thing is that communication should be developed to that area, so that we can establish a huge amount of industries on those areas, because in agricultural areas if you go and start developing industries, then people will oppose, and the issue like POSCO and issue like other issue like the Vedanta mines, all these problems will be created. So, especially those areas where people are interested or where there is less opposition, and those areas where it is getting facilitated, there it should be implemented, that is industrial corridors, right. So, this PM Gati Shakti scheme will establish industrial corridor and 2 defense corridors that will make India self-sufficient so far as the defense equipments is concerned. So far as at present India defense sector is almost become Atmanirbhar, almost 80% of its equipments are made by India. So it is getting, so Make in India and the Atmanirbhar Bharat is going on the line to achieve self-sufficiency. Extending 4G connectivity to all the villages in another aim, adding 60,000 kilometers of gas pipeline. This is also one of the aims of the National Gati Shakti scheme, that is extending 4G connectivity to all the villages. How? By Digital India mission, right? It has a target to send broadband services to 2 lakh villages. So that will be achieved on National Gati Shakti scheme, that is subsumed in National Gati Shakti scheme. It will help in fulfilling the ambitious target set by government by 2024-25, including the expanding the length of national highway network by 2 lakh kilometer. Government has a objective to expand the national NS length up to 2 lakh kilometer, creation of more than 200 new airports, helicopters and water aerodromes by 2050. 200 new airports, heliports and water aerodromes to develop waterways, right. So there are various ambitious targets this PM Gati Shakti has, and you must remember PM Gati Shakti because at present time it is the most important current affair. PM Gati Shakti, it has a project of 110 lakh crore, right, and it will establish 11 industrial corridors and 2 defense corridors. Then what else? It will extend 4G connectivity to all the villages, and next it will add 70,000 kilometers of pipeline. It will also add 200 new airports. It will also add 2 lakh far kilometer of national highways and also water aerodromes. So all this, it is a comprehensive plan for huge economic development to bring Indian economy from the post-COVID recession, right. So and to boost the economy and to achieve the target of $5 trillion. Okay. Next, what are the expected outcomes of the PM Gati Shakti scheme? The scheme will help mapping in the existing and proposed connectivity projects. So it will be easy for monitoring, right. Another thing that also there will be immense clarity on how different regions and industrial hubs of the country are linked, particularly in the last mile connectivity. So there will be accountability. Government will have a clear picture on the development of connectivity to different industrial regions. A holistic and integrated transport connectivity strategy will greatly support Make in India and integrate different modes of transport. It will help India become the business capital of the world. It will help India to become the business capital of the world. PM Gati Shakti scheme. Holistic and integrated transport connectivity strategy. It will be implemented. Holistic and integrated transport connectivity strategy that will reduce the logistic cost and it will ensure last mile connectivity. Need for integrated infrastructure development. What is the need for integrated infrastructure development? There exists a wide gap between micro planning and macro planning implementation during the also due to lack of coordination. Right? Lack of coordination on various ministries, right? Sometimes what happens, although the state government allows, environmental ministry do not give the clearance, then revenue ministries also they do not give clearance. So there are various issues regarding various departments because the work is divided in various departments and there is no interconnectivity or the cooperation between the various departments is not sufficient to address the various administrative issues. The need for integrated infrastructure development. There exists a wide gap between macro planning and micro planning, right? And there is absence of cooperation among the various government departments. Another thing is that according to study, logistical cost in India is about 13% of GDP, right? We are losing huge amount of cost so far as logistical cost is concerned, right? So you have to channelize it by PM Gati Shakti scheme. Higher than the developed countries. Due to this higher logistical cost, competitiveness of Indian exports greatly reduced. competitiveness of Indian exports get to reduce. Why does it mean? Suppose India is selling a product which rupees 20 rupees, right? And suppose the production is RS 10 rupees and 5 rupees is transportation. So here 15 rupees is the minimum cost and it is selling 15 rupees. Where another country is selling the same product at 15 rupees. So whom the people will buy? Obviously they will buy the other country's product. Why? Because here in logistics we are spending around extra 5 rupees. So we have to reduce our logistic prices. That makes our Indians good competitive. Competitive means it reduced price and more demand in the international market. The scheme is in synergy with the national monetization pipeline, right? National monetization pipeline, infrastructure development. This national has been announced to provide clear framework for monetization and give potential investors ready to invest a list of assets to regenerate the investment of interest. Suppose there are various public properties, government has bring a national monetization pipeline that will be monetized and that will be given to private sector, so that who will give revenue. National monetization pipeline. What are the challenges in PM Gati Shakti scheme? Low credit offtake. Although the government has taken up strong banking sector reforms, banking sector. What are the banking sector reforms we have taken? One is insolvency and bankruptcy code, right, to address the NPA issues. Next, what are the other steps? We have government has implemented GST. Then there is funding the public sector bank, right? Government has funded public sector bank. Another thing is that it has implemented bankruptcy code. So there are various reforms. There is also direct tax reforms. This overall impact on the banking sector. Also merger of small banks to establish a big bank. These are the reforms in banking sector has already taken. Right, there is a concerns about declining credit offtake. Still their credit offtake is declining. Why it is declining? Because of COVID pandemic. There is lack of private demand in the private sector. In post-COVID scenario, there is a lack of private demand in the investment demand. Then there are structural problems. Due to land acquisition delays and litigation issues, the rate of implementation of projects is very slow. Rate of structural due to land acquisition, right, and integration issues between various government departments. The rate of implementation of projects is very slow on global standard. Getting approvals is very difficult in terms of land access, environmental clearance. Also, impending litigation in court, delays in infrastructure projects. So there is delay regarding land access and environmental clearances that need to be addressed. That is the challenge that exists even today. Okay. So what we need to do? It is a right straight direction, however, it needs to address the structural and macroeconomic stability concerns emanating from the high public expenditure. Right, the imperative that initiative underpinned by stable and predictive regulatory and institutional framework. Okay, so what is needed? This needed is to address the structural barriers. What are the barriers that are exist during against the implementation of a particular project? They need to be addressed. Right, there should be economic stability. What do you mean by economic stability? Inflation should be under control. Inflation should not be too high. Another thing is that reducing the fiscal deficit, because if fiscal deficit becomes more, it is a signal, it is sign that your economy is not in a good shape. Another thing is that the good news is that we have a huge foreign exchange that has cost around $600 billion. So in that scenario, India is at safe level. So we have to address at two cases. One is reducing the fiscal deficit. Another thing is that controlling the inflation. That will help in achieving the objective of PM Gati Shakti scheme. Next, prelims fact. Rohingya Muslims. Who are the Rohingya Muslims? Rohingya Muslims in India. What happened? Rohingya Muslims, these are persecuted minorities of Myanmar. The United Nations say that they are the most persecuted minorities. Right, in Myanmar, Myanmar army, there is no democracy in Myanmar, there is a military junta and the military has tortured the Myanmar people, and they have fled out of Myanmar immediately after that after killing by or various torture by the Myanmar army. Okay, there is conflict between the Buddhist majority and the Rohingya Muslims. Okay. So what happened here? NIA arrested has six people who wanted illegal trafficking of Rohingya Muslim into Indian territory, right? So many Rohingya Muslims are coming into India. Around 40,000 Rohingya Muslims are already there, right? Why it is a cause of concern? We will see. First, India is a developing country. It lacks resources. So far as India is concerned, even today 60% of women are facing the crisis of anemia, and more than 35% of children are suffering from malnutrition. So in such a situation, can we afford huge amount of population from other countries? Can we share our resources to them? This is a problem. And another thing is that if a particular person has to come to your country, then he must come under the law of the government, that is by taking visa or permission. But why illegally entering to a continent is not legally acceptable. And also that is why NIA has arrested them. Who are the Rohingya Muslims? Rohingya Muslims are described by the United Nations as most persecuted minority in the world. Most persecuted minority. They don't have place to live. In India also they are living in various refugee camps, right? They fled their homes in 2017 to escape an alleged crackdown by the Myanmar military and other countries, including India. They fled to different areas in 2017. Let's see through which area they have fled, right? Let's see the map. Okay, this is Rakhine state. Actually, this Myanmar Rohingya Muslims high concentration is in Rakhine state, and here the problem started. They fled to Manipur, they fled to Mizoram, they fled to Tripura, and they fled to Bangladesh. They also fled to West Bengal. These are the areas where Rohingya Muslims has fled. Also, they fled to Thailand and the Malaysia. So these are the various areas to where the Rohingya Muslim has fled. But what are the concerns? If they come, what are the problems? That is a problem because first thing is that is a threat to national security. Why Rohingya Muslims are a threat to national security? The continuance of illegal immigration of Rohingyas has become national security. Found to have no serious national security and poses a security threat. Why? Because there is a huge potential of indoctrination by Islamic terrorism. Another thing is that they do not have any identity. That will be also a problem regarding maintaining the law and order situation. Then class of interest. It impacts the interest of local population. In Tripura and Mizoram and there is public discontent because there is huge immigration has changed the demographic ratio. That means suppose in a particular area earlier they were majority, now they have become minority in the northeast in certain areas. So that's why they are opposing the illegal immigrants. Then political instability. It also increases the political instability when leaders start stabilizing the perception of citizens of the country against the migrants by the elites to grab political power. Increase the political instability. It increases political instability when start mobilizing the perception of the citizens of the country against migrants to grab the political power. So there is also political instability because of the entry of the Rohingya Muslims. Then rise of militancy. The persistent attacks against the Muslims perceived as illegal migrants have given way to radicalization. Then human trafficking. In recent decades, trafficking of women and human smuggling has become quite rampant across the borders. Human trafficking has been increasing. Rise in militancy. Persistent attacks against the Muslim perceived illegal migrants have given way to radicalization. There is a potential for radicalization because they were not given proper education. Disturbance in law and order, rule of law and integrity of the country are undermined by the illegal migrants who are illegal. So anybody who is entering to illegal in the country it is a proof that law and order is not maintained properly, and they may create a security threat to your country. Okay. What is National Investigation Agency? It constituted under National Investigation Agency Act 2008. 2008. We have National Investigation Agency NIA Act 2008. It is a central agency to investigate and prosecute the offences affecting the sovereignty, security and integrity of India, security of states, friendly relations with foreign states. Investigate the offences, those offences that affect the sovereignty, security and integrity of India and security of the state, friendly relations with other states, right. In all the cases, NIA may investigate. Also, it can investigate against atomic and nuclear facilities. Then, smuggling in high quality of counterfeit of Indian currency. Here also NIA works. It implements international treaties, agreements, conventions and resolutions of the United Nations, its agencies and other international organizations. NIA implements international treaties, agreements, conventions and resolutions of the United Nations. Its objective is also to combat terror in India. It acts as a central counter-terrorism law enforcement agency. Central counter-terrorism law enforcement agency, this is NIA. Headquarters is at New Delhi. So, it is established under the NIA Act 2008. It ensures Indian security, India's security. It also acts as act against smuggling, drug trafficking, illegal activities. It also act as a law enforcement agency against terrorism. So, there are various functions of National Investigation Agency. So, what need to be done? Need for refugee protection and framework. In spite of not being a party to the 1951 Refugee Convention, its 1967 protocol, India has been the largest recipient of refugees in the world. This is the problem. Largest recipients of refugees in the world. Therefore, India has domestic legislation regarding refugees. It also could have deterred any oppressive government in the neighborhood from persecuting their. Yes, we can deter any oppressive government. Suppose why this refuse happens when suppose when in Bangladesh people get tortured, they come to India. When Myanmar people got tortured, they come to India. In Sri Lanka people got tortured, they come to India. In case of Sri Lanka, huge amount of Tamils come to India because of the civil war, right? In Pakistan, various minorities come to India because of civil war, Pakistan and Afghanistan. Also from the Bangladesh to get economic opportunities. So, these are the issues regarding refugee protection, and we have already received maximum number of refugees as compared to other countries. We are a developing country and we have lack of resources. So, these are the changes. So, what we need to them, we by any means, by diplomacy or by talk or by any means, we must deter the government in our neighborhood to work against their own people, otherwise they will flee to India. Then SAARC framework on refugee. India should take the initiative to encourage the other countries in the South Asia Association of SAARC to develop SAARC convention or declaration on refugees, right. So, SAARC nation, all of them can come together and make a comprehensive or common refugee policy for all the countries, and that will help to manage the crisis. Okay. So, what are the objective questions? Which of the following are the key features of National River Basin Authority? National River Basin Authority is a part of National Clean Ganga Mission, and the river basin is a unit of planning and management. Yes, it spearheads the river conservation efforts at national level. Yes, obviously National Ganga River Basin Authority, and here Prime Minister is the unofficial chairman. One of the chief ministers of the states through which Ganga flows becomes the chairman. No, this Prime Minister is the chairman. It is wrong. So, National River Basin Ganga River Basin Authority, Prime Minister is the chairman, and river basin is the unit of planning and management. So, 1 and 2 options are right. Next, consider the following pairs. Alma-Ata Declaration. Alma-Ata Declaration subject is healthcare of people. It is right. Hague Convention. Hague Convention is regarding the child rights. Right. Hague Convention is regarding the child rights. So here two option is true statement. 2 is wrong. Then 3. Talano dialogue. It is related to climate change. Yes, right. Under 2 coalition. It is not child rights. It is also related to global warming and climate change. Under 2 coalition. So here 1 and 3 options are right answer. Alma-Ata is related to healthcare. Hague Convention is related to child rights. Talanoa is related to climate change, and under 2 also related to climate change negotiations. Recently, Indian Railways Fast Gati Shakti Cargo Terminal, it started in Asanolo, right? Fast Shakti Cargo Terminal, that Gati Shakti scheme, we have already discussed Gati Shakti scheme, that is the combining all the sectors together for implementation of various projects. Next, Rohingya Muslims are related to which country? Rohingya are related to Myanmar. Bangladeshis are related to Nepal. Rohingya is related to Myanmar, right? They are persecuted by the Buddhists, or they are declared as most persecuted minorities of the world by United Nations. Then which of these water bodies witnesses the sunrise in earliest? Caspian Sea. Where is sunrise at earliest? It happens in Caspian Sea. Now, where is Caspian Sea? Its border lies with Russia. Its border also lies with Iran, right? Iran, Russia, Kazakhstan, Tajikistan. These are various the Central Asian countries. In the Central Asia, Caspian Sea is the present, right? Here, but they issues the water bodies. They witness sunrise the fast at the earliest. So here today the discussion completes here. Like this video and share this video. Encourage us to continue this program. Thank you. Good afternoon. Thank you all of you. R. Kumar, Raw Gaming, Illi Pradhan, Ankita Sahu. Thank you.